I started really deeply looking into materials and fabric. That's when I found out that like polyester and nylon, which like I said is like almost 70% of all clothing production today. Polyester and nylon is literally plastic made from oil. And I was like, did not know that the same plastic that your plastic bottles are made of, the same plastic that everyone's like, oh, avoid it, it's really harmful. Your clothes are made of that exact same plastic.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast, episode 96. In this episode, I speak with fashion designer Don Kaka. I was extremely excited for this conversation. Don and I have been talking about doing this podcast for over a year. We finally made it happen. Huge thanks to Don and his brother for opening their home to us and letting us come on location for this conversation. It was phenomenal. We talked about fashion, we talked about the environment, and a whole lot more, and I can't wait for you to check it out. The book of the episode is going to be The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. I have not finished this. I've begun to dive in, but already it's incredible. I know this is a legendary book several people talk about. Again, The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. If you want to listen to this podcast, be sure to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you want to watch the podcast, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@thesamdeverpodcast. Here's my conversation with Don. Well, Don Kaka, welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast.
Thanks so much, man. Yeah.
Man, this is crazy because I was here over a year ago and we talked about doing this.
Yep.
And we've been in communication, and finally the day has come over a year later and we are here. We're making it happen. It was meant to happen today.
Yep.
So thank you so much for coming on and opening your house to us to come do this here. This is great.
Of course, man. I'm glad we got to. I feel like I got a lot, like based off back then till now, I've stuffed so much information especially fashion wise in my head. So I got a lot to rip off about too. So perfect timing. Yeah.
No, and that's what I was actually thinking about. I'm like, how much progress and how much things have you been through? Probably both of us in the last year. Now we have way more to even go off of. So yeah. So I think just a good starting block would be you're in fashion.
Yep.
Maybe start with your background, however far you want to take us back.
Cool, yeah.
Wherever you want to start from.
Cool.
To where you're at here in LA now and what you're doing.
Yeah. I'll start. I'll omit some stuff, but started in New York. So that's where I like picked up learning how to design clothes, and then kind of started the first collection was in New York, just kind of on my own. And then that was all like I never went to like design school or anything. That was just like literally I kind of learned through friends and stuff out there because I was friends with some people that were like in pretty big design positions and stuff. So yeah. And so from there, I kind of came out here because when I'm from California already, like grew up here. So it just made more sense. And like, I like driving and like having a car too, and just more space. So yeah, then after kind of picked up fashion out there, came out here and then just been slowly building like literally piece by piece over the years to like where now I could safely say it's like a business now. So at the very early stages, I call it a fashion startup because that's kind of what we're doing and how we're approaching it. Like I wouldn't even say we're approaching it in the same way that like a norm, because like people when they think of like fashion stuff, they always like brand this. But it's like I don't really think about what I'm doing as like or what we're doing as a brand. Like it's more like a company or entity or organization like with a pretty like solid like mission on like what we want to do with clothing and how people dress, and then just like kind of attacking it like that. Yeah.
Okay, that's a great. I love to fashion startup because like we're big on the startup community and people just. Okay, we're seeing how these people are doing over here. We're going to go do our own thing.
Yeah, literally.
So what drove you, I'll take it back a little bit. What drove you to, was fashion something growing up that you knew you always wanted to do? Or is it something when you got to New York, you discovered it?
Yeah, just discovered it in New York. I really like most of my life wanted to be an engineer, and then like I had no like I was always like actually this like I was always the like paid attention to what I wore, especially in like school and stuff. Like I was relatively known for like wearing like pretty out there outfits and stuff. Like teachers would even make fun of me for some of my like I was wearing ripped jeans back in the day. And everybody would clown me for the ripped jeans. And like a few years later, like everybody's wearing ripped jeans. But yeah, so I was like paying attention, but like I had no desire whatsoever to really do anything with fashion. But yeah, and then I went to New York, and like it literally just kind of felt like I didn't have much to do out there. So like I just kind of like fell in my lap, and I just was like, oh, this is kind of fun. Like it's cool. Um, and so I just like went with that. I was like, oh yeah, this
I'll do this.
yeah, this seems like it could work out. Like I think I have a pretty good eye for design, so I was like, might as well just try this. Yeah.
And I'm just curious, and I hate to admit this, I haven't even been to New York before yet. And
Damn, that's crazy.
I know, and that's on the to-do list. Trust me. So what's the vibe New York compared to here? And maybe we'll just use it from a fashion standpoint.
Yeah.
Is it equal? Like both are equal players in the fashion industry, or is it LA's more? What would you say?
I mean, so what I've noticed, like, so I lived there for like 2 years, and then I've been in LA way longer, and I haven't been back in some time, but I definitely will say, yeah, New York is definitely way more fashionable and style. Like, forget fashion, like style. Like, people seem to care way more about style and like dress up, just to go out versus like LA. Like, I feel like 75% of the time people are dressed like bums, and then like once in a while they'll dress up like even like sometimes I'll go out and stuff, and people will be like will think I'm so dressed up, and I'm just like wearing my normal clothes because everybody's just wearing like t-shirts and like pants and stuff, and like so yeah. So as far as I think, and because in New York you got to think about it, like the second you step out of your place, like you're in public. So it's like you gotta, and then now you're like competing with everybody, like at all times. You could bump into anybody. Like it's just so I feel like people are way more conscious. They're like, oh, I gotta look good all the time because the second I step out, I'm in the world. But in LA, like you're in your bubble, you're in your car, you go from place to place from your car, you just jump out, go grab, do whatever, leave. Like, so you're not really like even in Europe, you're just going anywhere. Like, oh, I want to go get some coffee or whatever. Like you still got to be out in public. So, and then like, who knows, like somebody might just snap a picture of you. Man, look at this like idiot. Like, look what he's wearing. Like, so you're like, fuck, I gotta stay on point. But in LA, like I said, it's like you just jump from your car to the place. So you're not really paying too much attention. Like you're just like you literally just go out in your pajamas and like nobody will really notice. Like
that's a very good point. Now that you say that, yeah, it definitely is like that to some degree. And I have heard that about New York, how yeah, as soon as you step out of your apartment, everyone's taking public transportation. They're taking the subway. They're walking everywhere, which that part about it actually appeals to me. I'm like, oh, I think I actually would enjoy doing that to a degree. But it is interesting out here because someone told me when I first met out here, they go, LA's a lonely city. And I'm like, what do you mean it's a lonely city? I'm like, there's how many millions of people here? What do you... But then the longer you're here, and like you said, like you get in your bubbles and then the driving, and then you just don't go places because it's going to take so so you stay in your own isolated zone.
No, yeah, I agree. I think for that reason, like New York's way more fun because like you could like you don't feel as bound. Like you said, like oh I gotta go in my car. It might take an hour, like whatever. Out and like out there, it's like you know you literally don't have to worry. But I will say this though about LA being lonely. Like I wouldn't say I don't know. I feel like people have these connotations about LA. Like the two things I hear is like that, or I hear that what's it called? Everybody in LA is like, oh, they're so like I hate to use the word fake, but like this or that.
Right.
But like I don't know. Like I feel like you kind of, at least for me, like I already have the most positive, best experience like wherever I'm at, like LA, New York, wherever. Like I literally never experienced those things. Like beautiful people around me all the time, like all the time, like and I feel like people are honest or dishonest like everywhere. Like I meet the same type of people everywhere. Like that's one thing. I feel like the People are, I don't, my experience, people are basically the same everywhere except Germany. Like, maybe
What's
not.
different there?
No, Germany's a little crazy. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, but yeah,
Your vibes attract your tribe, right? And I will
yeah,
agree. I will agree with you
I think so.
110% on that because I lived in Las Vegas for a long time.
Hmm.
People say the same thing. It's fake. Dude.
Yeah,
I met nothing but incredible people.
yeah,
LA,
yeah,
I've met nothing but incredible people.
yep.
You being one of those people,
Cool,
Eric,
thank
who
you.
I work
Yeah,
on
thank you.
this. Say what up, Eric.
Yo, what's up? Check, 1, 2.
What I love about out here too is people come out here to pursue those passions and those dreams that maybe wherever they came from, maybe you could have done part of it there, but out here it's encouraged.
Yeah, yeah.
And you find people that can help you do what you do and
Yep.
everything. So that's why, like, again, going back to what you're doing, like, I think, so you're in New York, you have that experience.
Yeah.
Did you have that calling? Like, okay, I know I want to do fashion. I need to get to LA.
Not. It was more like, I was kind of getting. It was like winter time in New York, and I was like, it was just freezing.
Yeah.
Like I would go outside and like the wind would hit my face, and I would get windburn on my face, and I was like, man, this is just too much. And then I was just like, also. LA too at that moment, like I was talking to a lot of rappers like about clothes, so like, and every time I would talk to them they would all be in LA, so I was like, maybe just for now, like it seems smarter to be in LA. So that was like why I made it. But it wasn't, there's nothing like, it was just like a on the fly decision. Like it was literally just like one day I was like, honestly I'm kind of sick of it, like at this moment it's kind of cold, like whatever. So I just like left. Like it wasn't really much thought into it at all, really. Yeah.
Well, especially because you had grown up in California.
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
you knew how good it can be.
Yeah, no,
weather-wise.
Yeah, of course, I love it here. Like it's a good place. Yeah.
It's funny you say that because actually my senior year, I'm from the Midwest in Illinois, and my senior year at college, I had that exact same experience you're describing. I was walking the class, and it's not just cold, like your face literally is burning.
Yeah,
like someone is burning it. It's
Yeah.
that cold. And I'm like,
Yeah.
there has to be a better way. Like,
Yeah. Literally, no, literally. Like, man.
yeah. Well, okay. So you get to LA. Now what? What happens there? What's the plan?
I mean, like, I would say, like, pretty boring for, like, as far as like any. I mean, did some things, but like mostly for like the first like few years, it's just like we're working on a lot of like. Me and my brother, we were working on a lot of like I was just kind of like doing the fashion stuff, like not full-fledged. Like I was like doing other like random like startups and stuff. Like so like we're always like we're like super into the tech world and stuff. And so like we did a couple like I guess you call it tech startups, like in between when I came out here with my brother. And then like after at some point, like because of our own negligence, like they didn't, and other reasons, like they didn't go to where they needed to go. So then I just like I think it was like mid 2019, and then 2020, really that's when like we really took the fashion, like I'll say that, like a serious, like and started like actually acting like a business and like selling clothes. Like I didn't really, I sold a few here and there, but I didn't really start selling any clothes till like like end of 2019, 2020. Yeah. So but really 2020 is when I started selling a lot of clothes. Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit.
Yeah, that was the greatest.
So I was going to say, like, how did
was,
that play? Yeah, as your business is taking off, and then that happens.
Yeah, it was like because I didn't even have any clothes for sale on my website. Like before that, I was just selling stuff in person, and then we're like, boom, pandemic hits, and I start like like a month before, like we started seeing some news like about like Corona stuff, and I'm like, oh, it's bullshit, like whatever. And then, but one of my friends was like, hey, like you should consider like making a mask or something. Like, he's like, in other parts of the world, they're wearing masks and stuff. Like, I was like, oh, I don't know about all that. and then so yeah, boom, it hits, and then I was like, fuck, like let's just make like a really cool face mask. Even though I hate face masks, I think the whole thing was bullshit. But like, um, I was like at that moment, like didn't know what the hell was going on. So yeah, designed like out of the same material as the jackets, like I designed a face mask. And then we set up the website like to sell stuff. So we put my boy Obi, who like shot everything. Like he's just like a genius, um, like genius director, like everything. Like we just boom shot some photos, shot all the clothes, and then put it on the website, and then like started putting it out there, and then like boom, we sold all the masks that we made. Boom, like all the clothes we put up sold out like within a week, like and they're like, oh shit, like so we just like kept pushing that, yeah, and so just selling a bunch of clothes and masks like throughout the pandemic, yeah.
So that really got the whole thing
Going,
kickstarted.
yeah,
in
yeah,
a way.
literally, yeah. Like I said, I know a lot of people didn't have the best time, but like we were having a blast the whole time, like, and like on the low key, like there was a lot of parties going on in LA during the pandemic in Hollywood Hills and stuff, so it was it was a good time, yeah.
Was it a business opportunity to sell more masks?
Nobody was wearing
or at
masks,
least get the
yeah.
brand. At least get the brand out there. At least, and meet people and say, "Hey, here's what I'm doing." Whereas maybe where other places weren't doing
nobody
that
was,
type of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, it was just like, yeah, it was like literally like all the rich people, or like quote unquote like people that were like doing stuff like entertainers and whatever, they were all just partying throughout the whole pandemic, like literally. That was like while everybody was locked in their house, they were just partying. Yeah.
That's I remember now that you bring that up, I remember hearing those stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a thing. I never got invited to any of that, so I don't.
No, yeah, yeah, that was happening for sure. Like literally right after. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That could be a whole other podcast.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Talking about the shutdowns, and
Yeah,
because LA was shut down for sure.
Yeah, no, it was.
But I think for what you were doing, moving it all online,
yeah,
everyone, and I think we have even more of a social media addiction now.
yeah,
because
totally.
of the whole pandemic, because that's where we went to was our phones and computers.
Yeah.
So, but for your business, starting to put stuff online, probably more and more people were able to find you.
Yeah, exactly.
And
yeah,
see your stuff.
Yep. Yeah, it's just they were already glued on there. It was just like it was easy to spread. Like not that it isn't. It's always easy to spread, but like especially when people are just super dialed in, and like people weren't like I think I got a lot of hate for making those face masks too.
Really?
Like a lot of hate online, like because everybody was like, "Oh, why are you making face masks when people are like suffering and stuff? Like, why are you profiting off this?" Like, and I'm like, me, like, what about all the these big companies selling like these face masks and like making millions and millions of dollars on them? Like, and you're like mad about me because I'm making like a cool looking one and like not even making that much money because we sold it at a price where it's like not that much profit. Like, and I'm like, why are you getting mad at me? Like, get mad at all these giant companies. And then like literally right at like maybe like 3-4 months after, like all like Louis Vuitton, like all the big designer brands started making masks too, and they were selling it for like a couple $100. And I was like, hey, you really got mad at me about it, like, so, but yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up too, because I remember right when it was before it was just starting to happen, where we're like, okay, this is a thing, but it hadn't like gotten full blown yet.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember seeing someone in a Ralph's parking garage
Mm-hmm.
had a sign on his car. I can't remember. He was selling masks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's America.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
No, yeah,
like that's
totally.
But this is before. So yeah, I mean, in times of you saw an opportunity, and there was a mask shortage too. Like people needed masks, and they were hard to get at one point. I remember.
Exactly. And it's like it was like I was just making something cool, for people to wear. So, but yeah, that kind of like all got it going, basically. Yeah.
So okay, after you get through this stage of the masks and whatever you may have been selling in the beginning, then what does it evolve to from there?
From that, it's just like, okay, like design collections. So, because a lot of those, like right now we're doing a different stuff. We'll get to that, but at that point, it was like a lot of like really like fabrics with like really cool designs on it, colorful like woven fabrics and stuff. A lot of fur, silk, like leathers and stuff. So like really crazy, mostly jackets and hoodies, but like the like really crazy kind of ones. So that was like the main thing. So and we were just doing little collections like so we did a collection called like Darkest Summer in LA, and then so we just make a cool name, do a little photo shoot, and then put it on the website, and then like sell however many till like a certain point, and then stop selling it, make another collection. So we did that. We did like maybe like 4 or 5 collections, and then um, end of 2021 we did a fashion show. It was like the first one, and then after that, like we kind of started pivoting more into like because a big thing is like a lot of my friends, a lot of people, they're like it's like those jackets and pieces are like statement pieces, kind of like they're like they get a lot of attention. Like if you wore one of these jackets, like and it has fur on it and this and that, like and you go out, like people are just like barking at you the whole night, like um and so it's like, and some people don't want to be that out there with like all the time. So um I was like, okay, like I should probably start. Like, I really want, I still, because my whole biggest thing is like design the future of clothing. Like, what, because I'm like, we're living in this like age where there's like all this new technology, like, which is super advanced in comparison to the past like 1,000+ years. Like, the rapid advancement of technology in the past like 50 years versus like the past 1,000 years like is insane. Like, and it's crazy too because if you go back throughout history to like different time periods, which some maybe even lasted 100, 200 years, the fashion was always different and it was like really distinctive. Like, and so I'm like, it's kind of strange. Like we're in this like really technologically advanced world, but like the way we dress is like really primitive. Like, it's like, and it's not from an aesthetic standpoint, it's not the most like beautifully designed like clothing. It's like very basic and simple. And I'm like, so my biggest thing is like, okay, I really want to see like the near term future and the rest of the future where we're like really dressed like we live in the future. Like if you, even if you look at movies from the past, like from the 70s, 80s, like all the futuristic movies, everybody has like futuristic outfits. Like and it's like, but people are so like stuck in their ways. Like it's real, like, and like there seems to be some nostalgia about like a certain period of fashion, like the late 70s, like 80s, 90s, like and even early 2000s. Like we're stuck in that, and what scares me is like people want to stay stuck in that fashion genre for the next like 100, 200 years, and it's like that to me is really scary. Like and also the like um I'll get to that later, but yeah. So my thing is like, okay, after I was like doing these crazy jackets, I was like, I really just want people to start dressing differently. Like, and so in increments, that's like what we've been working on. Like from then, from like the end of that fashion show, it's like beginning of 2022 till now. It's like, in like I said, increments. So it's like a slow progression because you can't just go all the way out there. Like, and we don't have the facilities and resources at the moment to get to that insane level of like what the future of fashion could look like. But we're basically, that's like all we think about is like what does the way people will be dressing in the future going to look like, and how do we slowly bring that today and like literally do the transition, like because it has to be like a transition, like somehow, I'm not sure how necessarily yet, but like that transition I feel like needs to just happen and like just needs to be accepted, and yeah.
So that's fascinating. Like, so maybe for those watching or listening, how would you describe the future of fashion? Like when you say the future,
Yeah.
it needs to change. Like what exactly do you mean by that? Like just
Yeah.
You maybe use a certain garment, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I have a certain idea about it, like, and I'm still experimenting with the and toying with the thought and like really trying to think deeply about it. Is like one, there's just a basic start. I always say this is like you can't have a Ferrari with a Toyota engine in it. So it's like a lot of days today, it's like you have a piece of clothing that looks really cool. Like let's say a women's dress, like it's really intricate and looks really great. And then the material is like polyester and nylon, which is plastic, which is like the worst material known to man. Like, and we'll get into that in a bit
I was
because I got a
definitely going
whole
to be asking you
yeah,
about
I got
that,
a whole thing on that. So so you got to start with the material baseline. It's like okay, the best possible material, and right now like we have a few baseline best materials that they've been using for thousands of years. So it's like wool, linen, um, what's silk and cotton. Like that's what we have right now. Like and those in its best form are the best fabrics at the moment. Until we can come up with different materials, whether through like discovering it in like the rainforest or something, or doing some experiments. Until then, that's what we have. So it's like baseline, the best materials, and they should probably be natural or they should be because the like our bodies and the environment for some reason do not like synthetic materials, like materials made in a lab. Like they just don't react well to it. Like it's poisonous to the environment and our bodies. So, but yeah, so baseline, great material. Next is design. Like so, um, like how I have been thinking about it is like in terms of outfits. So it's like I feel like in the future people will be wearing outfits. They'll have like a few really like the best designed outfits, and they'll basically it's like you can wear it all the time. It will pretty much not get dirty. It'll last basically most of your lifetime, and it looks like flawless, like timeless. And people will just be wearing those like all the time. Now, in terms of what those outfits are exactly, is like what we're trying to like experiment and figure out. Like, I created some like starter points. Like, so like I designed something called the suit outfit, which is basically like my take on a more casual version of a suit, and with like these like little design elements to it. So that's just like kind of to start the conversation with like myself and like us, our team. Like it's like okay, like let's at least like do because like I said, it needs a lot of experimentation to really figure out like what is right, the fit, the design, and whatnot. But yeah,
So you're like the Elon of fashion because
I'll take that. That's I'll
because
totally
really
take
like
that.
and you know and throughout this podcast just talking to people in different fields, and that's so fascinating what you're saying because that tends to be a common theme is like how do we innovate, how do we
Yeah.
go forward. And you know the more I looked into Elon, hate him or love him,
Yeah,
that
no, I
dude's
love him. Yeah.
that dude's thinking 10,000 years
Yep.
more.
Yep.
Bezos, same thing, both of them.
Yeah.
Like they're both with the space and everything. They're
Yep.
thinking like, okay, how are we going to survive as a species? Not just millennia from now, but several of them
Yeah.
into the future. And that seems like with clothes, that seems to be the angle you're taking.
Yeah.
You know?
Because it's like one, nobody's thinking about that because everybody's caught up in like this fashion as like a trend, or fashion as like as a status symbol, like, and that's all cool, but like what about the future? Because it's like you mentioned, it's like thinking like because you really have to be, at least especially what we're doing now is like so destructive, like fashion wise too. And it's so bad, like it's destructive for the environment, for ourselves and our brains, like the way we think about things, like in general. And it's like, and the idea of like thinking out like thousands of years, or even just like hundreds of years, is like, one, what's the point of doing it? Like for me, it's like, what the hell is the point of making clothes or designing clothes, fashion, whatever, if we're not trying to take it to that next place? Like because everything already exists. Like like Christian Dior already designed the best dresses. Like Yves Saint Laurent designed the best dresses. Like Cristobal Balenciaga designed the best dresses. Like So it's like, all right, so then what's after these guys? Like, what's after that? Like, and then it's like if you go even past it, it's like ancient Egyptians, ancient Sumerians, like the Aztecs, the Mayans, like all these guys created and left structures behind with thousands of years of thought in the future. It's like, oh, we're gonna design this for the next 1,000 years, couple thousand years, like, and we're designing things for like a week, for a month, like it's just kind of stupid. Like even like the way houses are built, like they're built to last like 10 years and then they start falling apart. And then for the next like 50 years that they keep it there, it's like you're just repairing the damn thing like all the time. Like it's like for what? Like you could have built the house to last like 300-400 years. Like, um, but like you didn't. Like, yeah.
Isn't it like the cleaning process part of the reason why our clothes fades and falls apart so easily?
I mean, that's part of it, but the material is so bad. Like, it's the worst material. Like today, 70% of clothing production, like literally 70% of all clothing production is synthetic fabric, plastic fabric. So, and that's like the worst. Like that just is garbage. Like, and then also the cotton that you buy, like the rest is mostly cotton. It's like the worst cotton, like that's like treated with tons of chemicals, dyes, like synthetic dyes. So it's just like a horrible material that you're starting with. But then yeah, it's like, okay, you have to keep washing it because it's such a bad material that it, like you wear it a couple times and it starts reeking. Like clothes shouldn't be reeking like that, but that's because it's harboring a lot of bacteria. And so it's like, and then you keep washing it, and those the what's it called, the detergent you're using is like it's like a chemical combination of the worst chemicals for your body and for the environment. Like, and so those chemicals are destroying the fibers in the clothing every time you wash it. Like, those are like, I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, wait a minute, like, why are we washing clothes with like this like detergent that's like literally meant to like to degrade the material to clean it? Like, but the way it cleans it is like by like slightly destroying it every single time. And it's like and then when you put it on your skin, like that detergent's not completely washed off. Like, so a lot of people have like skin conditions and like a lot of issues is because uh all these like normal products that we use around us are like slowly affecting us without us knowing it. But yeah, but that's why they don't last that long. So yeah, but yeah, the washing is a big, so like bad material and then horrible detergent that's like destroying the material every time you wash it, like is yeah.
So we had to worry about our food in America.
Yeah.
So now we got to worry about our clothes.
Yeah. No, that's
you're actually one of the first. I believe you're the first that I've heard. Like, because I was looking through your TikTok and stuff earlier, because you've put out a lot of pieces on it.
Yeah.
So what I guess what started this path for you? Like, not only the future of fashion, but like, oh no, the current way of doing it, this is not good for us.
I mean, so I didn't really think about this stuff like for a while. Like I was just making clothes, like not thinking about it. And I like slowly, like I just I don't know, like I read a lot. So like I just started reading a lot of things, like talking to a lot of people. And then like it like started with the like one, food is a big thing to me. So like I basically 95% only eat like whole foods, like and like really like just like as raw foods as possible, like and so like, and I've been paying attention to food because my dad, like my whole life, so like I already knew about the food, like so food, like because I always knew that if you eat the right food you never get sick, like which is basically my case, like literally like pure energy all the time, like indefinitely, like and that's literally because of the food. So it's like I always knew about the food, but I never thought about anything else. Like, and I always knew like I was always paying attention to like injustices in society, like the way they do things, like corporations, the government, like blah blah blah. And then like, so I was always thinking about those things, but I never thought about all the other stuff. And then I just like maybe about a year or so ago, or 2 years, a year ago, I started like really deeply looking into materials and fabric. And then that's when I found out that like polyester and nylon, which like I said is like almost 70% of all clothing production today, is polyester nylon, is literally plastic made from oil. And I was like, well, I literally didn't know that. Like I did not know that the same plastic that your plastic bottles are made of, the same plastic that everyone's like, oh, avoid it, it's really harmful. Your clothes are made of that exact same plastic. And it's not only made of that same plastic, it's made of that same plastic that's sprayed and chemically combined with bisphenols, like PFAS forever chemicals, phthalates, which are all hormone disruptors, like endocrine disruptors. And that's because those give the plastic properties and make it softer. Because think about it, imagine wearing plastic around your skin. Like you have to make it feel and look like fabric. Like so, so you got to chemically process it to turn it into like a usable fabric. But anyway, yeah. So I like that journey made me start thinking about like, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, and I'm like, wait a minute. Like, okay, if nobody has any idea that our fabrics are literally poisoning us and poisoning the environment, what about everything else? So then I just start looking into everything else, and I was like, what the hell is going? Like, it feels like the biggest conspiracy theory of like in the world that like literally everything being produced right now by these companies are like poisoning us. Like, which is why people are getting sick at higher rates. Like even obesity. Like people, obviously it's the food, but these chemicals that I mentioned that they put into clothing, like the PFAS, polyfluoroalkyl substances, the phthalates, the bisphenols, those literally can cause disease inside of you. So those can like mess with your body's hormones, and so it can mess with the way you eat, and then it can literally start your path of obesity. Like it can make you, it can give you. There's a whole assortment of diseases and like developmental issues in children that can come from those things. But yeah, but it's like I was like, wait a minute, like because the rates of disease and sickness today is like at just growing and growing, and the way that the health industry deals with it is just like, oh, here's some pills, here's some surgery, like, but nobody ever gets to the root cause of like what's causing it, and it's like, oh wait, maybe it's the clothes, like maybe it's obviously the food. The food everybody knows, so we'll put the. That's why I'm like hyper focused on the fashion because it's like the food is very obvious, and obviously I do fashion, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to solely focus on the fashion aspect of this. So so yeah, it's like I'm like we're literally being poisoned, like, and people have no idea because I tell people all the time. I talk to them about it, and the more I find out about it, I'm like, people have no idea. And when I tell them to, they can't fully process it because it's like imagine somebody telling you, hey, what you've been doing your whole life, what you've been wearing your whole life has been slowly poisoning you, and potentially in the next like 10 to 20 years, you might end up with some illness, like, and you're not going to know where that illness came from. And everywhere you look, you're not going to be able to find the source, and the doctors are just going to tell you, oh, it's probably because of this, that, and the third. Oh, it could be genetic, whatever. But hey, maybe it was your clothing. Like maybe it was like all the synthetic like things you're using all around you. Maybe it's your detergent. Like maybe it's your bed sheets. Like also people's bed sheets and pillowcases and blankets are all polyester and nylon. So you're sleeping in. It's like plastic. Sorry to just keep going on, but it's like plastic is like the worst material. Your body hates plastic, and the environment hates plastic.
The reason why I started smiling, not in like a joyful way, is because like you mentioned bed sheets and pillowcases. I'm like, well, dang, like what?
yeah.
Especially like underwear and socks. I had this older gentleman tell me once, I was like working at a Cracker Barrel, and he's like, yo, let me give you a tip. And I'm like, okay. And it was just like, make sure your underwear is all 100% cotton. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, I didn't know. And I did some research. And so I've done that ever since. Like I make sure all my socks, even though some of it has a little bit of elastic, I'll give them like 1% or something like that, because it's hard to find 100%. But yeah, same thing with pillowcases and sheets. I try to get like linen, a cotton linen or something.
Linen's the best, No, but underwear is the bit that can cause, like with women, it can cause infertility. With men, it can lower sperm count. Like Like literally, this is like so significantly documented, like that it can do that. Yeah.
So what's the number one? Is it polyester? Is that the number one
Polyester
thing?
and nylon.
So those are
Those
the
are
two
the
main ones. Stay away
number
from those.
Yeah, and it's almost impossible to stay away from it because, like I said, go to the store. 70% of all clothing production is polyester and nylon.
I'm afraid to check my.
Yeah, yeah.
You're kind of screwed with suits. I feel like those are probably.
Yeah, a lot of suits are made of polyester
Yeah.
these days, and I haven't even gone to the microplastic aspect of it, which is a big conversation today. But yeah, it's I'm really hyper focused on like the yoga athletic clothing for women because like I said, these materials are endocrine disruptors, so they're messing with hormones, like men and women, but especially women. Like messing with women's hormones is no joke, and women these days, like literally 99. I've said this 100 times. 99.5% of all women's yoga and athletic outfits are polyester and nylon, which is pure plastic made from oil, and so and most women are literally living in these plastic yoga athletic outfits. That's like all they're wearing, like all the time, and they have no idea. And it's so funny. I see so many people and women. They're like avoiding plastic. Oh, no more plastic bottles. No more plastic this, and they have no idea that they're literally wrapped in plastic all day long. And the thing too is when you're sweating. So people work out in their polyester and nylon outfits. So when you're sweating in these outfits, your pores open up. And those chemicals from the fabrics are like leaching straight into your skin. And not to mention the microplastics also. Like these clothes like shed microplastics all day long. When you wash it, you're putting microplastics into the water. When you wear it, you're putting microplastics into your skin. When you wear it, microplastics shed, so they're floating all in the air. Everyone's breathing it in. Like, and there's a big I mean, people could look into it, but there's like the microplastic issue is so large right now. Like that's like a big topic of conversation because it gets stored in your body and doesn't leave. Like,
and for the audience's sake and my own, what exactly is a microplastic?
Microplastic is just like literally a microscopic piece of fabric. Like, and it can get nano too, so it can get nano or micro. So it's just literally a infinitely small piece of plastic that sheds off the clothes. So still, it's like you call a particle of plastic. Like it's just so small, like so you can't really see it, and it's just ending up everywhere. And like I said, biological beings and the environment hate plastics. So like microplastics right now. So forget what it's doing to your body. When you wash these polyester and nylon clothes, the microplastics are literally going into the water. And then ending up into the oceans. Like it's a big thing that there's microplastics like on the floor of the ocean, ending up in animals, it's ending up in fish, and it's starting to kill and like severely derange like aquatic life. Like this is like a real thing.
It's in our blood, I think.
Yeah,
like,
it is in our blood.
Like in our blood, we have a certain amount of microplastics at this point in time.
Yeah.
So drinking out of plastic bottles and all that.
You're also, you're
part of the problem, Sam.
Yeah, but it's like, see, I say with because that's a big thing too. Obviously, you get microplastics from drinking from plastic bottles, but my biggest thing is like, it's like with the clothes, you're wearing it all day long, like,
and that's the one no one's talking about.
Yeah, and that's the most hidden one because if people literally switched, if people stopped wearing polyester, nylon, plastic, synthetic fabrics, there's a lot of people making billions and billions of dollars on polyester and nylon materials, because that's like all these yoga athletic companies. I won't even name the names, but all the big ones, every single big one. You go look at the material content. It's literally 100% all polyester or nylon. So it's like, imagine people stop wearing polyester nylon. Their business goes to zero the next day. They have no business anymore because that's their staple. And the reason, all right, you say, why do these companies use polyester and nylon? And it's because polyester and nylon is plastic, and plastic costs nothing to produce. So imagine you had free fabric as a company. Imagine you start a company, and a lot of people, their sole purpose of starting a company is to make money. So it's like, imagine you're like one of the biggest cost like we only use the best materials. So it's like you use wool. wool is really expensive. So your costs balloon. Like the chunk of the cost is just the fabric. Imagine that was eliminated. Like, and you're still charging the prices if your fabric was expensive. So now you have no fabric costs, and then like you're making it in foreign factories by literally like practically slaves, and now you have no manufacturing cost. Your only cost is really to just ship it on a giant cargo ship, polluting the ocean while you're doing that, bringing it to America, and since they stuff so much shit on a cargo ship, your cost of shipment is not that much either. So you're just like, I call it the unlimited money glitch, because you're just like, it's just like that's why they're doing it, because it costs nothing. Yeah,
Just do some fancy marketing, get some endorsements, and then
yep.
charge
Use some famous
$150
people.
for
Yep. Yep.
pair of pants. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right. It is something we don't think, because you have to wear clothes, right?
Yeah.
Like, at least in this society. Like,
Yep.
unless we go to a nudist colony somewhere,
which is rare, but yeah.
Yeah, you have to wear clothes. So yeah, it's very interesting talking to you, because I like you said, is there anyone else raising the alarm on this in clothes or
not
fashion?
really? Yeah, not that
No.
I've seen. I mean, there's a few small fashion companies, like clothing companies, that don't use synthetic materials. Few and small. So I really appreciate them. But then it's like, then they're making them in like foreign slave factories. I'm like, okay. And then I don't know how great their material is necessarily, but at least it's natural. Like so there are a few, but they're just selling it necessarily. Like I've seen some advertised like, oh, all natural, like non-synthetic material. So that's a great step in the right direction. But I think I'm definitely like trying to make it a thing to be out here, like advocating about this, because it's like, to me, it's really, really serious. Like it's like sometimes I can't sleep thinking about this, because I'm like, there's no, like, it's like literally just poisoning people. Like, and I'm like, why is this not a giant topic of conversation? Like, and why, when I tell people, they still continue to wear the materials, like, and they're almost like, some people will agree, yeah, and they continue in the same manner, and I'm like, why? Like, is it because you just spent all this money on these clothes, and like, you don't want to face the fact that that, like I said, it's poisoning you? You also don't want to come to terms with that fact, because it's like, it's quite a crazy thing that somebody literally could tell you that you've been poisoning yourself for these past years and years. You don't really want to swallow that, because like that it might make you go crazy or something. I don't know, but yeah. So I feel like I feel like maybe I'm trying to make it a big point to advocate about this.
Have you eradicated all those synthetics from your clothes that you wear?
No, yeah, everything is wool, cashmere. Well, cashmere is technically wool, and silk, and then leather and like fur and whatever. But yeah, mostly it's like pretty much just like almost like 90% of the material is just wool. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just literally those materials. Yeah.
Well, I would think, being in LA, like, it would be a phenomenal place for this type of message
Yeah.
and thing, because
You
this
would
place
think.
is all about health conscious,
Yeah.
the environment, like
Yeah.
these things we're naming, but like you said, no one's really talking about it.
Yeah. Or even wanting to come to terms with it. Like, we've been going like, cause so I designed like that's the next direction we're pursuing. It's like, maybe like 85-90% of my focus is on that. And our focus is, we designed a new like women's yoga outfit, and we're doing a whole lineup, and that's made of like pure merino wool. So like that's just a start to like break that conversation and break that pathway open. And so because I did that, like, me and some of the boys have been going out and doing yoga, going to different yoga classes, talking to yoga teachers, just kind of out here seeing what's going on. And it's crazy. Like I said, I noticed that they want to be open to it. Like, but maybe people necessarily don't feel like there's a proper alternative, or like even the one we're selling right now, because our costs are so high. It's like we're selling it for between 200 to like 250, potentially even 300, because the costs are getting too high. And that's like really out of reach for a lot of people. But I figured that because to even be really health conscious, you have to be above a certain financial grade. to even start thinking about living more healthier because it's so expensive. So I figure like, okay, we could start in that area and then work our way down eventually. Yeah.
So you develop the product first, get it, and like, okay, we do have to sell it for this because this is costing us so much to do. But once we have it, then how do we get this so we can lower production costs without hurting the integrity of the product?
Totally, yeah, which is possible at scale.
That's what Tesla did. Yeah. Their first couple of years, all their cars were extremely expensive. And he's like, no, guys, just hold on. Like, and he openly would say it. He's like, eventually we're going to have our cheaper cars. Just give it a couple years. And like, the rich are essentially paying for that now so we can make it at scale. Yeah.
No, I think you kind of have to do that. If you go like historically too, like the cell phone or like the computer, like I think a computer at one point was like $30,000. Like, so it's like you kind of have, because while you're trying to develop it, while you're small scale, like doing something new, it's like you don't have a lot of resources, and you're very limited to what you can do, and keep going. So I feel like you kind of have to, and until you scale, like the cost just remains high because of production like reasons. Yeah.
Is there anyone else doing it in the yoga community like you are with the type of materials you're using with the yoga pants?
Like I said, I seen some doing like cotton and like some other materials and stuff, like just small little fashion companies. I think some are doing well, but it's still very small. Like it's like but yeah, there's a few. So it's like a few people have like, I guess, started to break the ice on it. I'm not 100% sure if they're full solid all the way around, but at least at the baseline, if they're using good material, like, or somewhat good material, like a natural material, it's a good like starting point for all of us. But yeah, because I think people, like I said, they will wake up. They'll have to wake up because we can't keep continuing in this direction. It's not possible. And because also it's like, literally from the beginning of time, I don't know how, I mean, maybe there was some advanced ancient civilizations hundreds of thousands of years ago that died out, but the first documented that we know of, like civilization, like the Sumerians, up until now, up until the 1940s, only wore natural materials for their clothing. For almost like for 6,000-7,000 years of recorded human history, or 8,000, whatever, only natural materials were worn until the 1940s, when 3M and DuPont used scientists from like the I think it was the atom bomb or the Manhattan Project, like to develop like synthetic materials. And I forget who exactly created polyester and nylon, but I think it was, at least I know DuPont or 3M were like the harbors of those, and they also created the chemicals, like the PFAS, forever chemicals. But that started it, like that from the 1940s. And it's like, if you look at society too, like we've literally, the way we live, and like we just been poisoning ourselves from that point forward. Yeah.
It's interesting because a topic of floating around the internet that you see on different podcasts and people clipping, definitely the food thing.
Yeah.
But also in the US, and don't quote me on this, but from my understanding that the life expectancy is going down here. But you would think it would just be increasing and increasing because technology's increased. Medicine's been better. Surgeries are better.
Yep.
So it's like, there's obviously other stuff in our living, and that's why it's very interesting you bringing up the clothing end of it, because I don't think you can blame just one thing.
Nope.
I think it's a combination of many things.
Yep.
And it's also too, okay, even if you do live longer, you live in quality.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You know what I mean? You don't want to be on pills and hooked up to a machine for the...
But that's what it is. People, it's like, they get to a certain age, like the idea of a life expectancy is a healthful, blissful life expectancy. If you're living 100 years, it should be 100 years of health, of like, but people, okay, say they are living 80, 90, 100 years, but it's like from 60 and above, 50 and above, 40 and above, riddled with nothing but health problems. Like like you said, they're ending like. So does that even count? Really? Does that count? Because your quality of life is so bad, and you're suffering. You're suffering, and then the people around you are suffering because of it. Because and the society is suffering because of it. Like, so yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's a strange thing. Yeah.
And is it, I guess another question is this only in the United States that these materials get used like this, or is this a worldwide?
No, it's worldwide now.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
I think with the food, it's funny because someone had sent me a list of foods that are banned in other countries, but not here.
Yeah.
Just because of the chemicals and whatever
Yep.
they do to it. But so I'm curious so this is a worldwide thing.
Yeah,
Totally. So it's really under the radar.
Yeah,
still.
because it's like, man, people are making so much. And this is the funniest part. Some people might say, oh, these companies, they don't know what they're doing. They all, because it's so well documented. And that these companies know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly, like, for example, DuPont, 3M, like, they knew that these chemicals that they were using were poisoning people and poisoning the waters and killing animals. Like a few years after they started developing them, because their workers started getting sick, getting cancer. Their kids started getting cancer, deformities, like local rivers that they would pour the chemicals in. The fish would all die. The animals that would drink would all die, and they swept this under the rug. It's crazy because like I was just reading the other day. It's either 3M or DuPont. They're in cahoots with each other, so it doesn't really matter. When they developed the PFOs, like chemicals, also the PFAS, whatever, they're all practically the same. They noticed people started getting sick around them, and then they started testing people's blood in the surrounding city, and they started noticing that everybody in the city started having those chemicals in their blood, because they were producing the Teflon pans, and also like they were putting it on everything, like these chemicals, because these chemicals have like, they're great at like waterproofing and other things, so they have these properties that are pretty superior. They started putting it on everything, and they started noticing it was everywhere, and the only time they couldn't find it was when they look at like army records of soldiers' blood pre them creating that material. It was clean of that. But anyway, so they've known about this from then, and they swept it under the rug, and they kept producing it at a higher and higher quantity year after year. Like, and just now, almost 80 years later, 90 years later, it's like coming to the surface, like, which is so insane. But yeah, they know exactly all these companies, these clothing companies know exactly what they're doing. And I was going to say too that it's like, the reason I'm advocating so largely for this is like, let's say you're poisoning ourselves. Like, forget ourselves. Say you don't care. Say you're like, I don't care. I'll live my best life, whatever. I'll die when I die, whatever. I don't care. Like, you're literally destroying the earth. Like, if we switch to fully renewable energy, like tomorrow, all electric cars, all like solar, whatever, no more oil needed to produce electricity, you'd still be pumping oil for the clothes. Like, so it'll never stop. Like, everyone wants to stop oil, but no, you don't want to. What about the clothes? Like, and then these clothes never, like, the thing too with polyester nylon clothing, plastic clothing, let's call it plastic clothing, is or polyethylene terephthalate, which is the actual name of it. The thing with these clothes is since clothes have gotten cheaper and these materials like are used, people just throw away clothes all the time. Like, they don't, if you go pre that point, people kept like, it was a normal thing for people to get hand-me-down clothes because the clothes just lasted forever practically. It's like the clothes, like I know a few people, I talked to this girl one time and I saw her outfit. I was like, oh my God, it's amazing. She's like, oh, thank you. It was my grandmother's. It was like almost 100 years old, the clothes, and it was like perfectly intact and stylish and whatever. And I was like, what the hell? Yeah, so people are throwing away these clothes. And since they don't ever degrade, they're destroying the environment. The microplastics are destroying the environment. The chemicals they're using are destroying the environment. The oil they're pumping is destroying the environment. and it's so vast too that if it literally continues, like at this point, I see it becoming 99% clothing production, plastic, synthetic materials, and the 1% is just the richest people that will get to have the luxury of wearing the finest materials, wool, linen, even cotton. I feel like cotton will become a luxury at some point. Like I can see that happening, which is a crazy thought because cotton is so apparent everywhere. But yeah, like I see it becoming 99% with 1%, the rich people uh, having the best materials, like being able to avoid all this stuff. But yeah, so the damage to the earth is going to be so insane. Like this is just the beginning. And as people talk about population decline, but the population is still increasing. The more people, the more plastic clothes, the more destruction. Like again, of course, everything else is plastic. Everything else is destroying. But since I just solely focus on the fashion aspect because also fashion is the third largest polluter on the planet, like literally, which is a crazy thought. Like fashion is literally destroying the planet. Like,
You've seen those beaches in Africa, right? Where all
Yeah.
the stuff gets swept up. 'Cause
Yeah.
we ship most of our crappy clothes over there,
Yeah, yeah.
which is really fucked up too.
Yep, yep.
And then it just like accumulates on this beach.
Yep.
And like, it's so sad.
it's
Oh my gosh.
it's just yeah, it's destroying there, and it's like the I'll say this one other thing on that is the like we're living in luxury out here like kings in America and the West, and at the expense of, as they call it, the third world, like because all the clothes too are being produced. These plastic clothes are being produced in foreign factories, okay, where there's not really any environmental regulations and not really any work regulations too. It's like kind of free willy nilly. So they're all the chemicals they're using to produce these clothes are being dumped into the water and the rivers. Like, and people, and a lot of the times, like, it's the same rivers and water that the local people drink out of. So the kids, everyone's getting poisoned over there. Their environments are getting poisoned. Like the workers are getting poisoned. Like, it's just like while we're over here just being all lavish, like you said, like then all right, with too much trash, ship it over there, like destroy the rest of the world. Like so what? We'll just live like kings and destroy slowly. Like then there'll be no more space left to destroy out there. Then we'll just have to destroy ourselves. Like, yeah.
You know, it reminds me. I might be going in left field here.
No, go please do.
So Jordan Peterson, if you're
Yeah.
familiar with him,
Yeah, I
remember,
like him. He's cool.
again, paraphrasing everything, but he was talking about now climate change is a whole other
Yeah.
conversation, but he said you can debate that all you want. He goes, but one thing that you can't debate is the trash and everything that goes in the ocean.
Yep.
And if that's like literal, like you can see
Yeah.
like what Eric just mentioned
Yeah.
about the beaches, and that is a problem.
Big
You know,
problem.
and it's crazy. Yeah, like now that you bring it up,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's like once you start talking about it, yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense, but no one talks about it.
Exactly. Nobody talk, and nobody wants to come to terms with it too, because it's like you're basically like you get a little extra convenience at all this expense. Like it's like somebody doing drugs. Like they get high for a minute, which is fun for that minute. Then then right after that, they come down and their life is in shambles. Everything's horrible. Their body's destroyed. Their mind is destroyed. But for that moment of pleasure, like for that moment of convenience, it's like okay, it's okay. Like so that's why it's like it's I don't know. I'm trying to think deeper about it. Like why is it so hard to come to terms with this and just make that transition? And maybe also it's like it's difficult because if you start like if it starts becoming a movement, like there's going to be a lot of resistance from like the corporate side, which will start like this is like getting crazy. But I mean, I don't know if you saw like Boeing like eliminating their whistleblowers, like
I've caught headlines. I'm
yeah,
not
on some
familiar.
mafia style stuff. So it's like these companies are like they're crazy. Like when their numbers start to go down, when they're not making $1 billion in revenue, $2 billion in revenue, it just went down to 300 million, 400 million. They start panicking, and they can't come to terms with that. So they would like, I feel like, but I think people are the more people wake up like spiritually, mentally, and like in every way, and I feel like they will have to. It will be in your face. This is the problem. Is like it will be in your face very soon. Like the suffering will come at some point. Like I'm like the biggest optimist in the world, but like but it's like it will come. Like it will be, and it will be devastating. Like the clothes have the opportunity to just devastate the future. Like and so it's like yeah, I think they will. Like I'll have to like I feel like even if I'm the only one with the candlelight, like going through the dark tunnel, like I think I'll just like I'll force it to happen because if nobody else cares, I think the only other way is like just when I say force it to happen is like make it so you have no desire to purchase like all this other garbage, like because this is the best possible alternative. Like these are just the best. Like if it's like the best clothing ever, then you're like, why would I even? And it's either slightly higher price, even lower price, or the same. You're like, you know what? I'm just gonna buy the best ever. And then so you just force the transition like that, I think.
What about the recycled clothing? Because I'm assuming that's still the nylon. So
it's
it really
plastic,
it doesn't it still doesn't help anything.
It's the same exact thing. And the thing with recycled plastic is like it doesn't have a long lifespan. You can only recycle it a few times before you can't use it anymore. So it's not going anywhere.
It's like a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say a Band-Aid because it's still the same plastic fabric. Like you're still wearing polyester and nylon poison. Like you're still putting microplastics everywhere. It's the exact same thing. Just because you recycled it, like what is that? It doesn't do anything. Like it literally doesn't. It's just like a marketing. These companies used to talk about, they love to talk about sustainability, the environment. Then you go look at their whole entire thing and it's just all garbage. Like, yeah.
You seem like someone I can ask this to. No, I'm pooling from all these conversations we've been having leading to this point right here. Because I feel like you've just like pushed something over the edge for me, unlocked my brain. Because we've talked about capitalism on here, other different ways of doing things without being, without everyone immediately going, oh, socialism doesn't work or this doesn't work.
Yeah.
People like yourself, like to me, you seem like someone that you're just trying to figure out new ways of doing things. Whatever money making and all that, that will come, but that's not your main motive. At least you are passionate.
Yeah.
And you feel a purpose from what you're speaking with.
Yeah.
I say that to say, again, this is an open question for any of us. As a society, how can we run where people like yourself, okay, hey, I got the clothes part of this. Here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And then you got the food people. Hey, we're the food people. Here's what we're going to do for our food. And then we got, the medical people, blah, blah, blah. It just seems with capitalism. And look, we're being capitalistic right now doing a podcast. You have your own fashion company. We're doing our thing. But it just seems though, once it gets to a certain level, it gets out of control. Mm-hmm. And then when you get shareholders and then when you get really, really big and then it's all about the numbers and people no longer matter. It's all about bottom line and investors. Yeah. And it makes sense with the polyester. It's cheap, like you said. How can we change?
I mean, see,
let's create utopia real quick. Like,
I mean, the thing is, it's like, okay, like this idea of these like massive giant corporations is also like a new phenomena, like of the past, I guess, 100 years or so. But like, I mean, because we do live in I said capitalist world, like especially like us, we're in America, like which I think is the best country in the world, like hands down, like regardless of the government being garbage and like all the problems this country has, is still like the best. Like, and I think you kind of have to work within, because it's not like, as we see with politics, it's like, these guys are just con men. Like they're not trying to change anything or do anything. Like, so it's like, you're not going to rely on government to do anything. Like, that's what I noticed. It's like, okay, so you have government out of the way. You can't rely on them. And it's like, okay, these giant corporations, you can't rely on them because they just want to make more money. Okay. So it's like, but so it's like, you still have to work within the framework of society. Like, and so it's like, okay, how do you do it? It's like, you have to start a business. Like you kind of like, how do you start well, meaning like push this forward and then not kind of get corrupted after a certain point. I mean, I guess it's like, you really just and there's not that many people that are like that, but like I like to think I am, and like I see there's some well-meaning people out there that one, money cannot be your motivation like whatsoever. Like money's there, like but you have to stick to your, like, you have to have a strong framework of like morals and values and some sort of spirituality, and like I'm a God-loving man, like have like some being like guiding you. I feel like where you're not, like, you can't be swayed, like if you did, if money, like if money was my motivation, like I would be going a totally different direction, like and I feel like there's some other people, like there's a handful of people that do things that are not money motivated, and people will reveal their intentions, maybe not right away, but over time. And the thing is, it's like okay, so say we live in America, so it's like we got to start a company to make a change. And how do you start a company well-meaning and not get corrupted? It's like how about as a consumer, how about as the people supporting, because there's no business doesn't work without a consumer. How about as a consumer, if you see a company doing something evil, I call it evil, you decide, I will no longer be supporting this company indefinitely. Because and by evil, I mean something like, it's like, for example, okay, if this company like, for let's say like the fashion, like if this company's been only producing plastic fashion, where it's been well documented as poisoning the environment and society, and it's like, okay, we will no longer support this company, and we will no longer support this company indefinitely, because what we don't want to say, they already showed who they are. Why what, you're gonna wait for them to change what? Like, they'll find, every change will be a way around working around here and there. So it's like, okay, you stop supporting, number one, as a consumer, you stop supporting these companies doing wrong like that. It's so easy to do. Like, I found it so, like, I don't shop at certain stores. Like, I don't shop at certain stores. I don't buy certain things. And I don't do certain things because I don't support it. And that's it. And it has made no negative impact to my life whatsoever. So it's like, okay. And then if you see a company doing right, and you all checks out, seems like their intentions are right, or a new company trying to change that way, you go and you support that company. You support those people, and you do that, and you elevate them. And if those people you elevate them, and they end up going the wrong way, then you just literally no longer support them, which is such an easy thing to do. Which it's like, and I really think it comes down to that. It's really just the consumer. It's your choice. Now, sure, it's a different topic of conversation. If you're saying everyone's getting brainwashed by advertising, by politics, by government, by companies. You're just getting brainwashed left and right. But if everybody's complaining about all these things, it's like, okay, inform yourself, which is pretty quick to inform. You can quickly inform yourself, and as a consumer, you start supporting and using your money is the direction of the future. So how you spend your money changes the course of society. And if enough people use their money in a certain direction, then it goes in that direction. It's like politics. Like if enough people, like these politicians have these like giant super PACs or whatever, where they just try to get as much money in there as possible to fund certain candidates. And generally, the candidates that if they fund the most win the seats, win the position. So it's like, if those people didn't have that money, generally they wouldn't have been elected. So it's like same thing with everything else in society. Take the money away, they go away. Like, and
or they adapt, or
they
they'll
adapt.
change.
But
Yeah.
do you even want them to adapt? Like, do we, like, when there's plenty of people ready to like I said, like, say me, like, all right, I'm ready to take this direction. Like, stop supporting them. Like, maybe this is like bias, but it's like, support me. It's like, I want to take it in this direction. Like, why, if they want to change, like, why would you trust them to change? They've already caused all this destruction. They've already caused all this pain. Like, why, like, what? like what's the purpose? Like, and we need new companies, new people, new ideas, new. But it's like when you're everywhere around, you're so wrapped in this like uh, plastic bubble. You have like it's hard to think like that. But I think if people, I think that's the way. Yeah. Sorry to go off so long, but I think that's the way, is through your money. Like that's the only way that I could think about that can actually have an instant impact. Like you stop buying something, you stop supporting, literally dies out instantly.
You vote with your dollar.
Literally. That's the world we were
Money
all worried
talks.
about. Yeah.
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 It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
And you've seen a little bit of that in the nutrition space. People have been crying for more organic stuff.
Yep.
Now you have that at, your dollar stores or whatever. So it's like they're doing it, but then they also will come out with like all the fake meats. Like they'll still find ways to like do their bullshit. But you're seeing it because people are demanding it, because it does follow the dollar. So once you educate people, and then they're like, hey, no, we're not, we require these certain criteria before we buy your product, they'll do it because they need that money.
Exactly.
But you're right, it does kind of suck that you'd like to see a new company come.
Yeah.
But yeah, odds are they already have the resources, so they can adapt pretty quick. But maybe not. Like, who knows?
Maybe, but they're so arrogant. They're so stuck in their ways. It's like a lot of old people running these companies that are so arrogant. Like by the time that they decide to make the change, it's already too late.
So what they end up doing is buying like your company.
Yeah.
So that's usually how that goes down, and then it's slowly.
Yeah. That's
but it's still a slight step in the right direction.
Yeah,
but
totally.
they'll end up killing like some of your mojo in that process.
Yeah, I just gotta fight, man. I'm so optimistic. Like I'm like fuck these guys. Like we can do the change, and it's like you can empower the next generation to do the same too. Like because like I said, I don't know, I really think that like because the big sentiment is that people hate corporations, they hate these companies. It's like so I do think that there's a possibility that they'll just say fuck these guys, like let's just let the new ones in, out with the old, like in with the new. I think that'll happen. Like so yeah. And it's like with food, like you said, it's like if people stop spending their money on certain food, these companies, all right, we'll just have more greens. More, it's like food is a big thing. Like I said, like I literally will. I do not buy food, like any like rolled up packaged food or whatever, like even bread or whatever. I read every little ingredient, and if there's anything in there that is suspicious, I just don't buy it. Like and I don't really care. Like doesn't make my day any better if I did have that to eat. Like I'll just eat a banana or something, like a bag of chips. Like, oh, how's all these things? Oh, forget that. I'll just eat a banana. Yeah, like, it's not a big deal. Yeah.
It reminds me of power to the people, man. Like really, we do have the power, but with just politics, and social media and all these things, it has divided us into all these little subsets where it's easily controllable.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's like, it really is divide and conquer when you look at it. Like it is, it's happening and has happened for existence.
Yeah.
And B, you say, oh, that's how easy it really is. Like they know that. Like they know they.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
But it really is, if we just decided to change, and that just goes with anything in life. I heard this quote, I think it came from Theo Vaughn. He said, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yeah. Literally.
And really, when you think about it, like, it takes those innovators, people such as yourself, that go, what if we did it this way instead?
Yeah.
But it takes those first people, those pioneers, to be the ones to have the courage to go that way.
Exactly.
Especially when there's profitable ways laid out. Like, hey man, you can do it just like this. You live in LA. You can just do this right over here and make money real quick type of thing.
Like that's literally, it's like, it's like you have to make that decision. Like, okay, you are going to take this path. And that path is so, like, you could take that path where it's like, oh, you just do it like this. Like you make so much money. Everything's great. Nobody bothers you. Or it's like, you know what? Let me attempt to take this other path that's really like dark and like really like could be the worst. And like it's just like you're just like, fuck, like was this even the right direction? Because it's so like it's just it's like if you have to hit a hammer and a nail, you got to hit it like 5,000 times versus just one little ding. Like, so it's like, so yeah, you just have to be, like I said, you just got to be resilient. Like, I think that's why this next generation, like, if people just stop worrying about the money and whatnot, and like just do things for the sake of like people in mind, like, actually thoughtful about it. I think it'll be good. They'll just like, you know what, and maybe like it just takes somebody biting the bullet, and then makes it easier for everybody else too. Like, okay, I'll just take all the stabbings and then
They'll fall on the sword.
yeah, and then open it up for everybody else. Boom, and then
You're exactly right. And a lot of times it's not the first people who are the ones that get the credit
yeah,
or reap the reward, if
Yeah.
you will. It's that second or third person that comes and goes, oh, okay, I saw all their mistakes.
yeah, yeah.
That you have to make those to find the path. I'm like, oh, okay, that's how you do it.
Yeah, I think so. Like even like a lot, like I feel like how should I say it? Like the pathway now, at least for like with fashion and whatnot, is so open. Like it's so ready to explode. And even like this is maybe a little bit egotistical or whatever, but I think I could lead the way, and I think I can show how it's done, and like everybody else can just copy. Like that's my like a great scenario to me is like I'm gonna show you how it's done, and then just copy whatever I do. Like I'm gonna do it first, just copy what I do, and I'll just keep doing the next thing. Just copy it. Like it's cool. Just copy it because I'd rather everybody using my designs, my things, because I'm at least I think I am thinking about it in the best possible way. So I was like, all right, just do that, and I'm cool with it. I don't care. Like people have such a, like, especially in fashion, it's like there's a big thing about, oh, you're copying. Like a lot of people copy some things that I've done, and I'm like I think it's great. Like please, because I'm just trying. Like I'd rather it be done in this way because that's the way I like it. Like I think that way is better. So it's like just copy what I do. Like I'll put it out there. All right, you guys just go and copy it. Like so yeah.
It takes that first person to do that, though.
Yeah, yeah.
And I always pull from quotes and butcher them.
I love it.
I did hear from another podcast too, and this really changed my thinking too. They were saying how ego actually has been the birth behind a lot of innovation.
Yeah.
Because, and then I look at stuff I do, I'm like, well, yeah, like if you had zero ego whatsoever, it's like maybe you may not have the motivation to do certain things. Whereas ego has created, hated people or loved them, drove them to innovate.
Yep.
And to create. So yeah, if that's within you and that feels like your path, then yeah, that you're the one. I did have just a general fashion question.
Sure, yeah, please.
For you.
Yeah.
I had heard that fashion, obviously there's people that have made tons of freaking money in it.
Yeah.
But I have heard it is an extremely hard industry to break through in. Why is it because the competition now, there's just so many people, like people are making out of cheap materials now. Yeah. So what's your thinking behind that?
So I think almost everything is like kind of like that, like tech, like whatever. But yeah, fashion, especially because there is an oversaturation of fashion. Like I was saying, I feel like almost everything's been done already. And so I like, because it's like, okay, if everybody the basic blueprint of fashion is like, oh, do the streetwear thing, there's like a kind of a blueprint of what to do, basically. And so people just follow that, and either people do well in that, or they'll make a decent amount of money. And so it's like, all right, that's just the direction. So it's like if you, I think if you follow a certain path, maybe it's like a little bit easier to break through, because there are so many people that like consume clothes. So it's like maybe it's easy. It's not hard to convince a small group of people to, oh, hey, just wear this, buy this, like whatever. But yeah, I think it's just overly saturated. There's just so much. I mean, my experience with it so far is like, it's definitely grueling. I would say it's not, at least if you're trying to do something different, like, and pave a way, it's just like absolutely grueling because you literally have to, like, if you're already doing something that is like comfortable to people, like print on t-shirts, like whatever, just like the basic silhouettes is way easier for people, and you're good at like getting it out there, do some marketing. It's way easier to sell that, way easier than to sell things that people aren't used to. They're not used to seeing. They're not used to wearing. So it's like you literally have to fight. Like you almost have to like really like convince people. You have to really show them, and I feel like it takes time. Like I feel like I said, my experience with it is just like a constant battle. It's like slowly but surely, but like for like if I was weak-hearted, like I definitely would have just stopped, like because it's like it's definitely grueling. It's like it's not fun. It's not. I mean, it's fun, I guess, some way, but it's not. It's really not that fun. Like it's pretty. It's a in some way a miserable thing to take on, but like you do it because you're like, okay, if I just, like I said, bite the bullet now, like it's like for a potential like lifetime of like excellence, like for to see like maybe the future go in a different direction, like because again, it's like I think I would get really bored really fast going in another direction. So it's like, yeah, it's pretty, I don't know. Yeah. It's not fun. I guess it's not fun at all to try to, cause like I said, there's such an easy path. Like at least that's way easier. You make more money. Like, and like who doesn't want more money? So it's like, but I think, like I said, I think the whole battle is just like, at least on my side, is like waking people up and then like getting and kind of paving that way. But yeah, I think it's probably really, maybe it is maybe one of the most difficult things to like really like by break into. That would mean, I guess, like having a sustainable business where you're constantly selling clothes, like like it really sustainable. So yeah, so it's definitely difficult because you gotta like convince people, especially like I said, if you're not doing the basic silhouette, like because like if you were doing a certain silhouette and you were savvy, like you could kind of work your way around the fashion scene and whatnot. So, but otherwise, it's like yeah, it's like yeah,
In the process, right? I mean, because I mean, just for example's
yeah,
sake, if I was coming up with a sport coat
yeah,
or something, you have to find the right material for the sport
yeah,
coat, right? So you're probably sourcing it different places,
yeah,
and then you get the material. I have no idea.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm just making
No,
this.
yeah,
But so I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not just like, oh yeah, we're gonna just make that and put
yeah,
an
no,
order
yeah.
in,
You got to
and
do the whole production.
you're doing it, creating your own.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're
Yeah.
doing it all from scratch, like
Right.
everything. Yeah, so it makes it even worse because it's like if we use bad material and manufactured elsewhere, like use a manufacturer, you just make your life so much easier, so much cheaper, make way more money. Like, but like I just decided not to do that because I feel like I need to control the entire process because I just can't trust these manufacturers like across the board. And then like material wise, obviously my whole thing is like the best materials. So it's like, yeah, it's like, it's definitely worse because that's the basically it's like, okay, you make a couple designs, and then you go to the manufacturer, you have them produce it. Generally, most people will go to a foreign country and have it produced. And like I said, cheap materials, like, so your costs are really low. And then you just do the selling part. You literally just do the selling part. You don't got to worry about anything else. Like, yeah.
You reminded me of two stories when you were saying how it's a grueling process.
Yeah.
Like, I love the saying of entrepreneurship or doing your own thing of you live your life for a few years the way others won't.
Yeah.
So you can live the rest of your life the way others can't.
Yeah. No, it's
And then Seinfeld, of all
Uh-huh.
people, I watched him in an interview one time and he's like,
the show. So I love Seinfeld.
yeah, he goes, they asked him like, oh, how fun was it making Seinfeld? And again, paraphrasing, but he's like, it really wasn't that fun. It was
Yeah.
work. Like
Yeah.
for him, it was work. He goes, it's the audience who gets to enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's the consumer that's going to enjoy your clothes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're the one that has to go through the journey
Yeah.
of making it and the late nights and the, 7 days a week.
Yeah. Literally. Yeah. And I think there's maybe like I think the yogis, they're like don't ever like the whole thing is like don't think about the end result. Like the result is not the thing. Only focus on the work, like, and everything else will take care of itself. Like, and I feel like that is, it's like I guess you just gotta just find like a beauty in that process, and then when people are consuming or enjoying, it's like you get some enjoyment from that and whatnot. But I think I have definitely heard. I think it gets more fun at a certain point for sure. Yeah, I think in the beginning it's always tough, and then I think so. I've heard it can get fun. Yeah, yeah.
You have a beautiful website.
Thank you, man. We need to
What
make
is
it
that
better.
website? We can plug it and we'll plug it at the end.
Oh yeah, it's you know say it now. It's donkaka.com. So DONKAK.com. Yeah, that's the website. And then you just go through. There's a bunch of some women's. We're focusing way more on women's stuff. Like that's a big thing. Like one like women's. I just like I enjoy making women's clothes like way more. You have way more room to experiment.
Bigger market too.
Yeah, and women definitely buy more clothes, but I don't know. Like when I think of fashion, I just think of women. So like men are like secondary. Like obviously like I want to dress the best too, but I'm like because this is a big thing I always see is like you see a girl goes out with her man and like she's like dressed like a beauty queen, and then like he's sometimes just wearing a t-shirt and some pants. And I'm like, oh man, but yeah. So I feel like women, they're more, they're just so I don't know. I just enjoy like when I think of, like I said, fashion, I think of women, and like so it's just a more. And I feel like a lot of women are getting way more fucked over fashion wise, like with the materials and this and that, because I feel like there's more like natural material options for men than there are women for sure.
Wow, that is so surprising.
Yeah. Like,
Why do you think that is?
Because they're producing way more women, like variation of women's clothes, I think, and like mostly men, it's like t-shirt, pants, like this or that. Generally, I mean, these are just switching a little bit, but you mostly find cotton shirts and like cotton pants and like cotton stuff for men. Like that's pretty.
Yeah, cotton t-shirts. Yeah, like organic cotton t-shirts.
Yeah.
That's not too rare.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's a basic silhouette, like, but with the women, for some reason, like, I mean, maybe it's like they're just making like women are buying way more clothes, so they're just making way more money. It just makes more sense margin wise, like to sell women cheaper made garbage clothes because you can make more money on them, and they're buying way more. So like, they could just you could produce it way faster. So if you're using plastic, like let's say you're using cotton or a natural material, it's natural, so you just got to go through the creation process. You got to either grow it or you shave it off an animal. And with plastic, you just whip it out in the lab and you just produce it. So way more faster. So like if they're producing way more women's clothes, maybe they could meet the production lines way faster if they're just giving women plastic clothes. Yeah. Because even this is crazy to me. I'm going to try to like say it in a certain way so I don't reveal who, but I seen somebody that I've crossed paths with start some clothing thing for women, and I was like pretty excited about it, and the clothes look pretty cool, and I look at the material and it's all polyester and nylon plastic, and I'm like, this is a new little company and you're a woman doing this, like why would you do that to other women? Like I get like if some like men are like, oh fuck the women, like whatever, like they're just poisoning them. But like why, as a woman, like why would you sell that material to like other women? Like it's like crazy to me. Like wouldn't you at least want to like see? I mean, maybe you don't know. Like
I was gonna say, do you think they're even aware?
I mean, maybe they are, but they don't care because like I said, I've been talking to women about the yoga pants and outfits they're wearing because they're literally all just wearing these plastic ones, and they're wearing it while I'm telling them about it, which is a bit of an uncomfortable conversation to tell somebody, hey, what you're wearing at this exact second, this is plastic. It's not good for you. And they just continue to wear it. Like they don't stop wearing it. Like, so it's like, okay, you just got the information, but like you're still doing it. So, I mean, I'm assuming that that person would know. Maybe it's kind of hard to, I mean, if you're doing fashion too, you got to have that brushed up on it somehow. you had to hear about it somewhere. If you're picking your materials, you're like, okay, what are the materials? And then you go polyester now. Okay, you might do a quick Google search and like find out pretty quickly what it is. And if I don't know, like, yeah, I just feel like it's a conspiracy. Like it's like I feel crazy about it, like because I talk about it so much, and like I'm like oh, it's like this is real. Like it's real. Like it's not. Yeah.
It's actually a question I had for you. Before the fashion, was the environment and these types of things something you were into? You said early on you knew about the food and stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm leading to is you were already conscious of these types of things, and then fashion, you just so happened to stumble across this.
The environment. I mean, in some ways, not like I definitely was always paying. Like a big thing to me is like the forests, like the rainforest and the Amazon forest, like because they're destroying all the rainforests. Like at this rate, there'll be none left. Like and like most of the world's biodiversity, plants, animals, whatever, is in those rainforests. Like in these little small parts of the world, and they're just being like I think more than half has been chopped down in the past like 30 years. And some of those rainforests have been developing for hundreds of millions of years. So like in 30 years, they destroyed 100 million years worth of growth that you will never get back like that. Like it's not coming back. It'll come, the forest will come back, but not in the same way that was once there. Like, so I'm always thinking about that environmentally. And I know these things have, like food has something to do, like a lot of like, they'll chop down rainforest for oil production. So it's like, that's where the plastic comes from. Plastic is made from oil. Okay. They'll chop down rainforest for like, grazing lands for like meat and stuff. Like they'll chop down rainforest, for soybeans to feed the pigs, for pork. Like they'll chop down rainforest to plant palm oil trees to put in all like to use as alternative oil in chips and food and stuff like that. Processed foods. They'll chop down the rainforest for wood. Like when we don't really have to be building with wood that much. Like could use stone. Like and like I'm not like I love meat and stuff. But lately I'm uh like I don't care I don't care about all that vegan bullshit. Like but like lately I'm like, I don't really need to eat meat. Like because like it is pretty destructive at the scale. Like we've never produced meat at this scale. Like and I'm like, what, I don't even eat it that much. Like maybe I'll just like cut it out of my diet. Like and it's really not even a big deal. Like and yeah, so it's like all these things are just destroying the rainforest that like who knows, maybe we have nothing, and it's all for us too. I was talking with my friend about this, is like we're destroying it for us because it's all in foreign countries that are the rainforests are in. It's not in America and it's not in the West. And so they're destroying it for things and products for us in the West, which is kind of such a crazy thing. Like, and like I said, it's like once those are gone, you don't get them back. Like, and maybe there's no use for them at this second, but who knows? Maybe there will be maybe there's some magical fabric material fiber that you could turn into fabric, and it's the greatest material ever, hidden in these rainforests somewhere, like through a plant, through a mushroom, through something, and like it gets chopped down and you never discover it. Like,
I think you gave a great perspective that I'm definitely leaving this conversation with out of many things.
Yeah.
Is how we get to live so well here
mm-hmm.
at the expense of so many others
Yeah.
around the world. I think that's something, especially when we're blessed to live where we live.
Totally.
And to be doing the things that we're doing.
Totally.
We're extremely blessed to be doing that. And
Yeah.
to think that, okay, but what about the rest of the world and the consequences of this, and just, again, the rubber hitting the road, and a house of cards pretty much.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
So, no, man, this has been incredible. I thank you so much. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about and bring up, whether it's with your fashion or anything?
I think maybe I'll say this one last thing. It's
Sure.
like I think I'm like super. Besides all the things I said and like negative things in society, and whatever, I'm still super optimistic about the future, and like I think that this next generation, our generation, and will like definitely like make the change. Like I think people are just waking up. Like spirit, there's some I call it spiritual warfare. Like because I think um, people are just waking up and they're ready to go to war. Like not war literally, hopefully not. Like but like war in a more mental way, war in the way you live your life. Like because those basic like and so I'm pretty optimistic about that. Um, and I think if people keep waking up and like it's like we can have conversations like this and we can push these things like it'll just create a ripple effect and then next thing you know it in the next 20, 30 years like the future is like way more bright like so yeah.
I love that. That's beautiful. And I'll give you the last word
Yeah.
here to say, Eric, do you have any parting words?
No, man, thank you. It's really, I'm always interested in this fashion in general and the business side of it. So thanks for
Sweet.
sharing your
Yeah,
perspective.
no, of course, appreciate it.
And I do have to share. I mean, I've been more into fashion over the past several
Good,
years.
I'm glad.
And actually, it's funny. There was actually a woman who she was older than me, and she let me know, like, "Hey, man, you can't be dressing like that."
No, I love it.
And ever since then, I changed my tune, had some mentors in the game a little bit.
I
But
love
now,
it. Yeah,
I got to go home and check every single label when I get.
please do.
But I
please.
appreciate this
Yeah.
opportunity and you opening your home and us having this conversation.
Of
And
course.
we could talk for 10 more hours.
Yeah,
That's what we got to
probably.
save for part 2. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. We should
so-
definitely let some time go down the road, get some things going crazy, and let's do a part 2.
Yeah, no, I love it. And so I always give the guests the last word. But before I do, where we already mentioned the website, but again, where are the best places for people to go to follow you, follow your work? Where should they go?
Yeah, like Instagram, THADONKAKA, and then website DawnKaka.com. Or just going like you just type it on Google, stuff will come up like Dawn and then KAKA. And yeah, and then just like yeah, that's
Awesome. And I always give the guests the last word. It can be as shallow or as deep as you want it to be. You already left us with a lot of deep things to think about. How would you like to end this podcast?
Let's see. I don't know. I don't know. Dress. Wear natural materials. Yeah, to start. That's the starting point of the transition. Only wear natural materials and then go from there. Yeah.
All right. Well, Don, thank you
Cool.
so much, my friend.
No,
Really
appreciate you,
appreciated
man.
this.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, everyone. Sam Dever, the Sam Dever Podcast here. And I just want to thank you for checking out this episode. To watch and listen to future episodes, be sure to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@the Sam Dever Podcast. Thank you so much. See you soon.